now when I started out doing my slides a couple of days ago, I'm going, oh my God, I should have done 3 different ones. So they're kind of in 3 different parts, and a lot of them I'll just go through kind of quickly because I have thousands of slides in each section, but I'm not going to show you all of them because I'd say 85% of them are plants, pictures that you don't want to see because most of these that I've done in South America have been plant trips where I go with a group of bromeliad enthusiasts and we look for bromeliads. So I'll go ahead and get started. So I also go to lots of parts of South America that other people don't go to. So you can see this is a big map of South America because you can see that Brazil takes up a huge portion of the continent. So the part I've been on is along the left-hand side of South America, the Ecuador, Peru, and through there. Now we've been back and forth on across the Andes that go almost over to Brazil, so you can see some of that. So I'm going to start with Peru. And as I change these, if you need me to stop or you want to ask a question, that's fine. Go ahead and interrupt. And this, so, whoops, I did it a different way. Okay, I shouldn't do that. This says now I have to resume share. What happened here? My screen sharing is poised. Come on, quit. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. Okay, so don't do that. I'm going to go back to where I start. Okay, now let's see what happens if. Why is it paused? Vanya, can you tell why?
Can you click escape on your top left keyboard?
I can't see anything on my keyboard except the slides.
Not on the screen, but the keyboard itself.
Oh, escape. Okay. Yeah. Oh, now I'm sharing. Okay. You're so good at this. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. This is, all right. Okay. We start with Peru. This is my favorite place. I've been back several times. And as you can see on the ecological zones, it's quite a bit different in the coast and the inland into the mountains. And then I actually have not put into this one my favorite place, which was the Manu Reserve, which is a jungle section on the Amazon. I'll have to add that later. I have that on a totally different slideshow. So. But this is parts of Peru that most people have not seen. So we're starting in northern Peru. This is in Chiclayo. So we fly into Lima and then go north, fly from there to the north to Chiclayo. And you can see the top of this very rugged terrain. There's looks like a cover on top of something. Well, what they've tried to do is they keep finding different ruins and digging. And when they find something, then they quickly build a top on top of it so they can keep working. I'll show you some. So you can see the terrain is very desert-like. You can, to the bottom of the screen on that one, you can actually see what looks like acacia trees. This is part of getting up to where some of the ruins are. These are the steps. Yeah, it's they built them wonderfully because you wouldn't expect they've done that, but it does show that. Okay, and then I take pictures of all kinds of things along the way besides plants because I figure most of you don't want to see all the plants with their names that I have. But this is a cute little burrowing owl, and I just couldn't resist taking his pictures. So I did look him up later on and I found out they actually just live in the desert. That's where they want to live. So, and they have to have their chicks at the right time of year so that they can avoid being drowned. So that if the chicks they're very cautious about where they have their nests, and sometimes they take over another nest of some other animal. but they have to clean it up and keep it because they sit for like 4 or 5 weeks on the eggs. One of them does, the other one brings the food in. So at least there's a little help there. This is a wonderful museum in Chiclayo. It's huge. And I would say most people who go to Peru don't know to go to this place, but it is all about all of the ruins and stuff and mummies and things found in northern Peru. We went to this place, which I need to take some of these titles off of here. But anyway, this is to see a sun bear. They used to roam all over South America, but you very, very seldom ever see one. And this one is in captivity. You saw the signs. That's how we knew how to find the guy. But anyway, the security that they have so you don't get bitten or whatever is very loose. It's just like something a little thicker than chicken wire, and that's about it surrounding him, and he stays in the tree most of the time. But it was very interesting to watch him. You could watch him for a long time. And little jabalini, that they are all wild pigs all over. And this is part of the excavations that they've found in the northern part, up in this desert part. And one of the things, because it's so dry, a lot of the things are preserved. Now it's probably hard for you to tell that I'm taking this picture looking way down into an excavation. So I'm looking in, and this shows how they buried the dead with armor, you see the big pieces of metal armor and stuff on there, in case they need protection in the afterlife. And you can see in the top right, there's like food and water in bolas. And this one's taken in a museum. So obviously this guy's a lot better shape than the others are. Where am I? Okay. This is up in the Andes. So we started in Chiclayo. We went east and back and forth across the Andes like 8 different times. So now the first time I went, big parts of the road were dirt. When I went back the second time, a lot of it's been paved, and it's all the Chinese have come into Peru and offered them great roads and all kinds of things. So now some of the parts that were inaccessible on my first trip were now accessible, although there are these huge trucks everywhere because that's how everything gets in. And occasionally, like 1 or 2, I have some pictures, but I didn't put them in here. Once or twice we had to stop, and these truck drivers got out and helped move huge rocks off the road that are blocking the road. So they're sort of used to that. Their big chunks of stuff fall off, and they don't call the government to come move them. They just get out of the trucks and do the best they can at moving and hope nothing else falls down on them. This is one of the reliable ways of transporting your goods all over the place. And now this was an interesting place to me. I was going to put on my Chachapoya shirt tonight, but I didn't get it out. This is a really interesting place that most people don't go to either. These are all mummies. And the Chachapoya lived in the northern part. They lived, there's a town there called Chachapoya now. These pictures of the mummies are taken in a very small museum that the government has built there. And this is an air-conditioned room. So it kept it exactly the right temperature. So they have taken these mummies down from, I'm going to go back to this. See, when you look at this round part of the picture, those are cliffs up in there. And they very carefully buried their dead up in the cliffs so that nobody would get them. There were always warring tribes. And apparently the Chachapoya people really started to die out after the Spaniards came. They mostly died of disease, But in about 200 years after the Spaniards had come, almost all of them were gone, dead. But they still tried hard to put their mummies, and this is one of them they opened up so you can see it. The mummies of Le Bamba. And they were very careful at keeping them. They were called, they actually were called the warriors of the Chachapoya people were called the warriors of the clouds, because they lived in sort of where the cliffs are is up above a sort of a big forested area. Now throughout, this is, that's me back in the light green jacket with a hood on. This is how we go. We don't collect plants, we photograph them, because a lot of these are CITES and not allowed to be taken out of the country. And I would never take any out of the country you're not allowed to take. And this, one of the things we really go to look for, because there's only one place in the world really you can see the Poya Ramondii. You see these big plants in here? Well, there's only this one little section of Peru even. They're not all over the place. They're only in the Parque Nacional, Huascarán, and they're in the Cordillera Blanco, way up in the mountains. So here's a better picture so you get a perspective. That's me pointing up at one. So now you get the idea how big they are. I mean, take a picture of a field of them. They're not that many, and they're in little groups in this one area. But you can see when I'm looking up at it that it is gigantic. And I don't think I put any in this one, but I've got pictures of the birds going in and out of the flowers, because all those big brown stalks all are full of flowers, and the birds live in there. And this is also up high in the mountains, and you can see the kids all have on they all have on hats. Most of them, except the hoodie guy, all knitted by mom, who was sitting down below, and I didn't get a good picture of her. But they wanted to show me the lamps, and they've probably gotten the idea, you know, you run up to somebody, because there aren't many tourists in this area, but if you see somebody who's a gringo, you run up and say, take a picture, and then you hold your hand out if you want some money. But I wanted to give them something anyway. They were so cute. And the mother shears the sheep, and she's sitting there knitting with the wool, with the raw wool. I bought a hat from her. Mine has the ear flaps. The kids don't like the ear flaps, they told me. Another really interesting thing up in the Andes is we'll be driving along and you'd have to stop. There's a whole group of vicuna crossing the road. These animals all run wild. They're not allowed to be domesticated. They are there are domesticated camel-like that are in the same family, like the guanaco, and the alpaca and the llama, but the guanaco with that they're all relatives of live in much lower land. Only the vicuna live in the highlands, and they run wild. Everybody there who knows you cannot touch the vicuna, that they're wild, but they do catch them every once in a while and shear them, and that's for their health too. But they can only be shorn every 3 years. It takes that long for them to grow out the hair. It's very, very soft and fine hair. And occasionally I have an alpaca sweater that has some vicuna in it, very soft. These funny things I take pictures of that nobody looks at. These little set of bowls on top of a house are for a new married couple. The family gives them these to put on the roof to bring fertility to the home. I thought they were kind of interesting. They're on a lot of rooftops way up in the mountains. It's more like different ethnic groups do that. Okay. Well, and I go to all the markets. I like to stop and look at the market, although some of them are pretty they're all interesting because they have all kinds of fruits and stuff that you've never seen before. And they're like like 500 different kinds of potatoes. Purple potatoes, red potatoes, white potatoes, all kinds. The potatoes grow, I guess, crazy there. Then we were down in the in the southern part. By now we've crisscrossed across the Andes several times. We've gone to Cajamarca, we've come back. Now this is the Balustras Islands, which we went out on a boat to see the islands. And the penguins, which are cover these islands, are just penguins all over the place. Now, these islands actually, it's really odoriferous when you're there because it used to be they used all the guano for fertilizer. And what they had there was they had a prison there where all the prisoners had to bag up the guano every day. That was their job. I mean, that's sort of like worse than being just put in prison from my point of view. This place was really smelly. But when you're out in the boat, millions of birds fly down all at once, and just the water is just all movement. It's just really incredible. And these little penguin guys, like a lot of people don't think there are penguins in South America, but there sure are. This was just on land going up near the place where we caught the train, and you can see they're what those are is more like go up along the side, and they've made to grow things in the mountains. They've made like growing beds, and that's what the Incas did too. They all the way up Machu Picchu. That's partly why Machu Picchu was built, was to grow the food and stuff on the side of these very steep mountains. And the bridges, of course, are all just little handmade bridges you would not want to drive across. Now we are taking the train. You can, if you have several weeks to hike up to Machu Picchu from the Quillabamba, I think was where I stayed at. And then you catch the train very early in the morning. And it's really interesting because all along the way you can see the mountains in the background there. And then eventually you get to Machu Picchu. Now I took this picture from something else because there's no way I'm up in an airplane taking this picture. But you can see how it's sort of, I thought this was a good one because you can see not only is it very steep and rocky, when you're up there, you can walk all through all of this. You might be able to see in the lower middle, there's either a person or animal there. And there are llamas walking around in different places, eating grass. But it's all very, and you can see if you look on the right-hand side, see how it's all terraced down the mountain. And when you're up there and you look over, you're like, oh yeah, I can. Yes, it's very steep. They don't seem to worry about people falling. That's your problem. They're not as safety conscious as people in the US are. And there's my roommate Betty under one of the famous walkway walls, Machu Picchu. And I like to take pictures of just the people walking around. This is right down below Machu Picchu. People, mothers with the babies on their back, and how they carry everything. This is the little village these people lived in along the way. But you can see up behind the houses how when it's not pure rock like it is on the right-hand side, then on the left-hand side, you can see how they've terraced as much as possible. They've dug through there, thrown out the rocks, and they're planting crops and stuff on it. And they use, obviously, to build some of the houses and the pens to keep the animals in. They use rocks that are right there. So these are some of it's just beautifully breathtaking to see this from this was just taken out of a picture out of the bus. All right, we were a very small group, so we didn't have any huge bus or anything. And along the side of the road, we'd stop every once in a while. We saw something interesting. This lady, if you see that red thing in the middle, she's sitting there knitting a hat with black llamas on it. It's like a llama to me. And she just plunked down over there on the side of the road, and she's sitting there knitting. And then sometimes people stop and buy things from her. And I want to point out the hat. See the brown hat on the right? When you're in town, one ethnic group of, or I don't know if it's by geographical group or ethnic group, they all wear the same hat. All the women, it's not the men, it's the women wear these brown hats and see that ruffly thing on the side. Then the other ones, then there's another group that wear a very light colored hat, and they distinguish the two. Just a couple of more. So yeah, we were there in the summer, and yeah, it was not really cold. It was windy sometimes, very windy some days. It's chilly at night. Yeah. But and then we went down to the southern part of Peru. So I just want to show you some of the Nazca line. People know what the Nazca lines are. They're geoglyphs. They're actually drawn into the dirt, but they were made, they think made 500 BC to 500 AD, and there are just hundreds of them. They're finding more. Even we were in some other place where they weren't supposed to be, and there they were on the side of a great big hill. It wasn't even a big place to point out to people, and most of them are zoomorphic, or like animals or hummingbirds or dogs or cats, or so they're what people saw around them, but they're very interesting. This one is a copy of one put into the square at the Zocalo down in Nazca, so you get a better picture of it. And no, I did not go up in the airplane. It had just been a crash like 2 weeks before, and I went, I'm not so sure about the pilot training here. I'm not. I can see him fine from here. You take some pictures when you go up and send them to me. So I didn't go up. So that's just a very brief look at Peru. Now, what I didn't include here, I have another whole thing on my trip to Manu in Peru, which is a natural reserve on a tributary of the Amazon. And you do all of it in a little small motorboat that holds about 8 or 10 people. And then you go to the first place you go to, you get off, and it was very nice, built house and stuff. And we had a room and we had food and stuff. And then when you're set off for the next day, they hand you your bedroll and mosquito netting and say, here, you have to carry this, which we hadn't prepared for, but we managed. And then we get back in the boat and we go down the river a little further, and we stopped at all kinds of places. And there are just people who live along the river. So I will try to do that one, a better job of that one, and show it later, maybe sometime. So that was sort of Peru. Not from the tourist perspective. You notice I didn't show you any of Lima. Now, I've been to Lima, and last time I was there, we went to 4 different museums. Really good. They have some really wonderful museums, so that was good. And what do I have next here? I have Brazil, but maybe what I'll do is want to do the other one first before Brazil. Where's the second one? Sorry, a second. Let me get the other one up here.
And if anyone had any questions specifically for Nancy, please feel free to unmute yourself or put them in the chat. Or if you have a trip coming up and you want to know more about your specific trip, ask, because you might have already been to that location as well.
In fact, I one thing to watch out for. I know when Suzanne's daughter went to Peru, Suzanne said, "Oh, this looks terrifically expensive. I thought you said it wasn't expensive." And I went, "No. You have to convert the money. You're looking at it in as if it's US dollars. It's not. It's Peruvian dollars." So they just had not changed the the money over. Okay. So then I will go on with this next part is on Ecuador. Now, this is one of my favorite places too, because Ecuador is just wonderful. Now, again, I'm not showing you all the plant pictures because there'd be hundreds extra in here, but there's some
I
good
don't
ones.
think we're seeing your new slides, Nancy.
Huh? You can't see
I don't
these?
think we're looking at your Ecuador slides.
You're not? It should say, all right, let me get this one out of the way. Maybe that's the problem. Do I have to go to new share? Oh, maybe I have to do new share. Okay. Ah, here, I think that's it. Does that do it?
Yes, although we only see half of your screen.
Yeah, no, you have to pull it up. Yeah. I had to do a new
Mhm.
share. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So we did not, now a lot of people fly in and out of Quito, but we were going to go through a lot of national parks and stuff, going all the way up, walking through a lot of this. So we flew to the southern part of Ecuador, which is called to a city called Guayaquil, which everybody used to fly in and out of Guayaquil before they built the new big airport in Quito. I mean, Guayaquil used to be the jumping off point to get the airplane to go to Galapagos. But actually, not only is the other airport really, really bigger, they've moved all the things you have to do to get to Galapagos up to the other airport. Actually, Guayaquil has been known as the crime city of Ecuador. So we were warned very carefully about where we could go and where we couldn't, but it's a beautiful place. So it's really sad that it's got that terrible reputation. So, but actually, when we had time off, as long as there were like 3 or 4 of us in a group walking around together, we felt very safe in the daytime, never at night. So this was along the river. This is a restaurant we ate in one night. It was very interesting, lots of seafood, but it was a beautiful place. And this was the best children's park I've seen in a long time. And it's all free. It's all along this walkway along the river that I just showed you. So you get a picture of this, like these big ants climbing up something in the middle. Can you see this part of the kids park was so cute. Oh, wait, I thought I had more of the kids park. Maybe I took out some of those, but there's some, anyway, they're just really funny things. And the kids are all running around playing. The whole place is really interesting. Unless I got some of these out of order. This is just walking through Guayaquil. It's, of course, all on a mountain. Also, everything's mountainous all over Peru and Ecuador. But it kind of reminded me of the San Francisco tiki-taki houses. We all painted different colors. And this was just, everything is uphill. No matter where you're going, it ends up being uphill. This is the famous 444 steps, which we took and went all the way up. And I was really feeling it that night. But it was really interesting because it's when you looks like you're just going up the stairs, but on each level, it levels off in different places. You go to the right or the left, and they're all houses built into the rock stuff there. And this was a place where you hiked up to all these stairs, and it was an overlook of the river and the entrance to the ocean, because lots of big ships come in and out through here too. Then, well, we went back and forth through all the way up until we reached Quito. So we're driving parts of the ways, but most of the places we're going through national parks for different plant selections. So this is in Quito, which is actually a very nice city. I really liked Quito. I felt very safe. And part of the group well, there were two other roommates I had, and they went home before I did. So I had the rest of the week in Quito by myself, and I really enjoyed it. I walked in the daytime, I just walked every place. It was very, very safe. There were gorgeous big cathedrals, and this is not some backward city. It's very modern city, and it's got lots of buildings that are gorgeous. A couple of nice museums there. Then we went from Quito, let's see, Quito, I went south to Banos, which you can see all the clouds in the mountains back here. So a lot of Ecuador is a lot like Peru. This is just one of the plants we're looking at. I thought I'd show you a pretty one. Another bromeliad. This was a nice ecological reserve we went to, which had all kinds of great plants and things. This was a view just from driving. So we're not in the airplane. Oh, no, I'm wrong. This is flying to Galapagos. And so we flew from Quito, north of Quito. So the only thing wrong with the airport that they built that is just north of Quito, it's not just north, it's like 60 or 70 miles north of Quito. So, and there's no transportation there. You have to hire somebody to take you there. So it's kind of expensive to get there. And then when we were there, oh my gosh, it was like you couldn't get it ahead of time. You had to buy a visa to go to Galapagos. So you had to get in one line for that. But then if you got in that line, you were not in the line to be get stamped in to get on your airplane. So I almost missed the plane because it was just a bizarre amount of lines to go through to get anything done. And then you had to go to another one to put your luggage on. So this is us landing at Baltra Island. Now, there are two airports in Galapagos, which we didn't really know till later. So we came in at Baltra, which is the northernmost airport. But it turns out there is one way in the south, and that they had actually moved our yacht near the southern airport. So then we had to get way down, and they put us all on this awful, like a speedboat thing. We thought we were just getting in the water taxi. Oh, no. We got in this speedboat thing that was already full of people. There were not enough life preservers to go around, life jackets. But I was so sick that they tied me onto the boat and gave me a life jacket. So if I fell off, they can come back and get me. I was hanging over the edge of the boat all the way down this rough ride down there. It was quite a way. It was like a 2-hour, 3-hour ride in a speedboat all the way to the other airport, to the other place where our yacht was. This is a little bit about how you get to places. So there are lots of islands which people don't really, I'm not sure I know exactly how many, because some of them are uninhabited or you can't even go there. But anyway, most people go from the Baltra airport to Santa Cruz Island, or arrange, if you already have a boat arranged, you go by boat. So that's what we did. But as you can see, because of the unique location of the Galapagos, which is centered on the convergence of several major Pacific Ocean currents, both cold water and tropical communities thrive here. So the Galapagos harbors an extraordinary range of distinctive marine habitats and species. And I imagine most of you have seen the things that Darwin did. And a lot of his experimentation was done with finches. And I think I maybe saw a finch. Well, I wasn't positive. I'll show you in a little while. So this is the yacht we were on. It's a very small yacht. There were, I think, maybe 8 of us and 8 of another family that had come from Holland. And I think the grandparents were in the US, and the son and his family were all from Holland, and they were on the ship with us. So that was it, besides the people who took care of the boat. But there were huge boats full of people that we saw later on, like uh, uh, they're like 2 or 3 story high, huge boats that held a couple of hundred people. National Geographic, I was surprised, runs boats like that, I guess mostly for people just to sightsee. And then we were able to snorkel in this boat, but if you're going to go on scuba diving, you have to have a special license and a special boat to go scuba diving there. But the snorkeling was absolutely gorgeous. We went out snorkeling every day, no matter where we were, and we moved just, well, every other night. They would, after dinner, and we were all down, then they would motor off to another island or to another place on the next island over. So it was really interesting that we got to, because we were with a small group and you could get on and off. Some of these islands are very small, have no really landing place. You have to get off in the beach and walk in the water. So we were lucky to do that. But there's just a lot of different birds, especially birds, and of course the Galapagos tortoise. And I do see the shark down there now. That was one kind of horrifying thing to me, because here I am snorkeling along, and somebody else was with me, but they had already gone. They had went off in a different direction. So I was sort of there by myself, and I was along the reef, and I looked down, and there's this huge hammerhead shark. I mean, there's no chance that you cannot distinguish those. So I very slowly breaststroked away. And they had the pontoon, when we go out snorkeling every day, they'd have the pontoon boats, but you'd have to get up to the surface a lot and wave at the guys and make a lot of noise to get them to come pick you up, which would have been fine. But I thought just kind of slowly and quietly going might be better. So you can see here how the water is just gorgeous. And I guess the different currents coming in make the water beautiful colors and stuff. It's really nice. But you can also see in the background there, the side of that island, which I'm not sure which island that is, maybe Rabida. They're different, but they're mostly very, they don't have much vegetation on them. Oh, there I was snorkeling. Really nice, like starfish, although I had to figure out how to get my hand so it doesn't make the make the shadow on it. Now this was kind of funny because this was on a small island we were on. This may have been near Rabida, and we looked over and there's this flamingo in the middle of it wasn't in the ocean part. There was like a lake, a pool off the side of on the beach, and we looked over and there's flamingos in it, and I'm going, what are they doing here? But I guess they live there. So this is us on the back of the boat. You can see the two little boats that we used to go out snorkeling on, and always one would stay and watch us. So if anybody got in trouble, they could come over and pick you up. But then when you got off, you always had to get off on the back of the boat and hang up all your gear to get dry for the next day. And when you all came in at one time, they always had drinks and food ready for you right away, because they knew you'd be tired from that. Now this is on my favorite island, Isabella Island, which is where a lot of the birds are, which was interesting. There's the blue-footed boobies, which are really unusual looking. And if you look at the one to the right, I think their faces are kind of funny, because he looks like blackface on him. But the animals and stuff and birds were absolutely spectacular. Now I think this is the little finch, but I was not close enough to see, and I'm not walking off the edge of something to find out. But that's what Darwin did a lot of his experimenting with, his finches. Now, this is my favorite bird. More than the blue-footed booby, this bird is really different. It's called a frigate bird. And you see that big red thing? They puff that up and they make noise that sounds just incredibly funny. And you can see below, there's sand and rocks. It's not it's not a, a nice plushy green island. They're all kind of like desert islands. And here's a whole bunch of them. And they seem to get along fine with the blue-footed boobies. They're all in there together. There's a bunch more. I was just taken by these things. I just think they're so funny. And when they're flying, they look ridiculous. Here's a blue-footed booby. And see that white fluffy chick? Oh, I have another one too. They're so cute. They just look like they're just like cotton balls or something. And I never could see the chick's feet to see if they were blue yet, because they're always tucked under him or under mom. And there's a penguin. Then this is a different penguin. This is it's called just a Galapagos penguin. He lives only in the Galapagos Islands. We didn't see too many of those. There's a cormorant on the back of this one, but see, there's 1, 2, 3 little penguins here in the front. And the cormorant seems to be fine back there. And when you get on some of the islands are almost uninhabitable. I mean, there's nothing there. But then on other islands, they have built walkways for people to walk on. And as you can see, the wildlife says, I live here and you're the tourist. So you want to get past me, go around. I'm not moving. And it's not just the seals, it's the marine iguanas. Now, I don't know if you can see this guy, but these little bright red crabs, and I've forgotten the name. I do have that someplace. They're very bright red crabs. And you can see behind that second crab, there's a marine iguana. Can you see him? It looks like a big lizard on top of above the crabs. And there's one on land. These things are just incredibly funny looking to me. And they're not at all afraid of people. They walk right up to you, or they're just lying on the deck and you want to get past, you have to go over them. And you can see maybe you can see on the next slide better, but see the top of the front of his head? Looks like it has those little bubbly things on it. Well, let me see if the next one's better. Let's see, I can get another one close up. So you can see on some like this one right to the right, they have sort of a white thing on the front of their heads. It's because, this is a good one. So you can see the white on top of his head is because they eat saltwater plants like algae and stuff that grow in the ocean. And their body has the way of incredibly throwing out the salt. And so that's what that white stuff is on top of them. It's the salt they're throwing off from the stuff they ate. But these guys are just incredible. They look scary, but they're not. They're very, and you can see like over the edge there, they're like hundreds of them sometimes together, come out of the ocean together. They're just interesting. And there again, it's their house. And if you want to go around them, fine. I'm not going to bother you. They're not afraid of you. They don't even move an inch when you walk past them. They just lay there. These guys are up out of the ocean. They just probably came up to get warm on the rocks. This is, I think, a little frigate bird. I'm trying to identify him, and there's more. So there are more. On Ferdinand Island too. Besides Isabella Island, on Ferdinand Island, they are also the marine mammals. And this was back on Isabel Island. You see the ray in the middle of the water, the spotted ray? They're really interesting. And when you're snorkeling, they'll just swim right past you, right next to you. They don't pay any attention. These are interesting because they're not just gray like the ones we have here. These are spotted ones. And then the next slide, I don't know if you can see this in the middle, it's very yellow. That's a golden ray. You can see the edge of his flipped up. And it's very hard to see him here. I have a couple of them you can see there. This is the only place, I think, in the world where they have golden rays, and they really glisten gold. You can see them in the top of the water there, sort of glisten gold. And this is a sea turtle that was right near there. And now here's another big green sea turtle with a ray, and they're just walking around the water or swimming around. And the big green screech turtles will come right up to you too in the water. They're not afraid of you. Nothing's afraid of you because nobody's allowed to hurt anything there. I mean, and people are very good about that. Then, of course, we went to see the tortoises because Galapagos tortoises are very well known, but I didn't know there are different kinds. There's the Galapagos giant tortoise, and there's the ones that live to be hundreds of years old. And how they always wonder how they got there, but they think they came over from San Cristobal, from an island in the current, and then stayed. I don't know, because they don't swim, so I don't. Maybe they just got sent by the current and managed to keep breathing. But the next one is called the dome-shaped tortoise, and they live up higher in the island. Where there's lots of green grass that's nice and wet, and they can walk through and eat all the time. And then there's the saddleback tortoises, and they live on the low islands with little vegetation. So like the great big dome ones that we saw ate tons of grass. The ones that are saddleback they just don't eat as much. This was about, well, this maybe not be able to see this. It's like what different kinds of tortoises live on different islands. We had to, on land, you had to drive after the boat let us off at the edge. Then we had to, they had a car waiting for us, and we drove to the place where the giant tortoises are. And they really are big, and they're just out walking around on the grass every place. Everybody knows you don't touch them, you don't mess with them. This is a place where they were actually hatching the eggs and taking care of the babies until they got big enough to put them out. So they'd make sure we'd have plenty of them. And this is a big pelican waiting at the dock because there were fishermen coming in with big fish and selling them to people right off their boat. And this guy's going, oh, well, I'm here, so I'll eat whatever you guys have left over. No problem. Okay. So that's the end of the Ecuador one. And I don't know if I don't have much time left to do. We'll do a little bit of Brazil because if I can get it up quickly. No, that's the wrong one. Let's start again though. Let's see,
yeah, maybe just like a little bit, maybe 5 slides on Brazil in case people have questions.
Okay.
What would you say would be like the best, the one place to go if they have to go to Latin America? They really want to go, but they can't decide on where to go.
Go to Galapagos. But you go there by going to Ecuador first. So you go to, I would say, even if you only go to Quito, which is the nearest place to the good thing, but you won't see a lot of Ecuador, but Quito is a really interesting city. And then from Quito Airport, that's how you get to Galapagos.
Nice. Thank you.
And Brazil's very large. People don't know how big it is. Very, very large. And I went to just a very small part of it. So we started in Belo Horizonte, and you can see on here, our trip only went to Minas Gerais and Bahia states, which are the red and the blue along the right-hand side here. And
we can't see that.
Huh? Oh, you can't see. Whoops, I got it. Screen sharing. Oh, maybe I have to stop the other one and start this one. New share, right? Yeah. There we go. Let's see. Can you see that? Can you see anything?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, so now we see the map.
Okay, all right. So there you go, map, and then flying in. And this is the part we went to along the right-hand side. It's just a cafe we stopped at. They were taking care of the plants up behind the cafe, and we were just dying laughing. It's like, what? This is what everything looks like. Everything looks like big, tall, rocky slopes. This is one of the plants we were looking for in Timotaya, and this just most of these are just pictures of the big outcroppings, which are everywhere. Are some sort of jungly parts. This part was a little jungly we were at. But look, when you're looking even at a city, look at the big rock mountain right in the middle of the city. I mean, it's kind of funny actually that, and as you can see here, oh, I'd say even worse than Peru. Look at all the big trucks. It was nothing but trucks everywhere. Now in this one, you see the person right there in the middle? Can you see the person? That's us walking up through here and getting up through this dry brush. And then, all right, so there's some of the big plants we were looking for. And so you're just driving along a little road, which there will be giant trucks along this road. But see the outcropping. Everything is full of outcrops. So we're hiking along this farmer's path and to go up to the top to find something we want. And there's this big outcrop of just plain rock in the middle, and you have to figure out how to get up it. Over there, we just stopped for a break. We had some jackfruit. There's a pineapple. Screen up. Whoops. Uh-oh. Where did it go? Okay, sorry. And where are the pineapples there? Okay. So we'll just go through these quickly. That's just a bromeliad growing out of a cactus. And you can see all these giant, I mean, I did not know that Brazil really looked like nothing but rocks every place and dry. A lot of it's very dry territory, lots of cactus, although beautiful cactus flowers. And you can see the big truck down here, but look up above. That's what you see up above you. Now there are some nice places. Now I took this one evening. I actually could not tell sometimes whether this was just the sunset or a big fire because they burn everything. All along the road, you see little fires because they decide that's how to get rid of the weeds. You just set them on fire. It's a little crazy to me. This was in Porto Suegro, where we had this nice frog standing on he was hanging on our door as we meant to open the door. Hi. This is Diamantina. Lots of really great bromeliads and plants in the Diamantina National Park. And this is us looking up, and you can see out of these people, this guy's from Wales. There's me. This guy is from Argentina. This guy and her husband are from Germany. And this person's from Southern California too. So we're kind of a mixed bag of people here. This is a lovely place along the beach where we actually found bromeliads on the beach. And when you look down here, there's like restaurants and stuff on both sides. It's all very green. Now this is very close, right on the ocean. So very nice there. And Brazil, very known for its chocolate. So was Ecuador. But then I bought some chocolate in Quito. And when I came home, they had exact same brand and everything in Trader Joe's. I went, oh, this is crazy. I'm glad I didn't buy a lot to bring home. This is just some of the bromeliads we look for. This was a nice little town. Now, I don't know if this is actually a video. I have two of these. One of them is a video. This little guy, I don't know if it's video or not. The other one of them's a video. Anyway, this little monkey was just sitting there, and he kept just going around, moving around. These were up in the sort of in the wetter part when you did find some trees and dampness. There's some little snakes up there, which you didn't want to step on. That was in this area right here. And then there was a nice place where they had little waterfalls, which was great. Then we got a kick out of the real fruit stand things. We got a kick out of it because these the fruit stand guys had all these signs up about what was good for you in different fruits, which were really very funny to me. Anyway, that's just a quick look at Brazil. I just didn't have much time to do on Brazil, but anyway, and obviously I didn't go to Rio. I flew into Sao Paulo, and then from Sao Paulo had to get a driver to take me to, no, I flew to Belo Horizonte, and then I had to have a driver to take me to meet the group, because the group had left the day before because American Airlines screwed up my entire flight. So I didn't get my luggage till 7 days later, including my hiking boots and poles. So it was like, I still mad at American Airlines for ruining my trip. But anyway, I liked Brazil. Definitely have to go back. I want to go back on the Amazon side too to see more of that. So I hope if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any.